Newsline with Faraz Shaukutali.
And a very good evening to you and a warm welcome to Newsline Live. Wow, it's so much better now that FIFA's gone and we're back to our normal slot. And of course, tomorrow we have a Christmas special, but it's starting about 10 minutes earlier than 8:30. So it starts tomorrow at 8:20, and as you may have gathered, our guest is His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit with a Newsline Christmas special. Do catch that, as I know you will. But I thought I'd let you know that it's 10 minutes earlier than the normal time. Now then, it's 8:30. We're in our studio, and we are joined by, and great thanks to our guest, by the way, Dr. Lakmal Fernando, who is the chairman of the Renewable Energy Council at the National Chamber of Commerce. Very good evening to you, Dr. Lakmal. Thank you for coming.
Good evening, Faraz. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely, our pleasure. We're really grateful to you. Let's start with what seems to be some sort of spat going on. We have the minister saying one thing, we have the chairman of the PUCSL saying something else, and the 5.75 million consumers, account holders, or I suppose they are, they appear to be on the way to being hit yet again. Is prices going to go up?
That's what the political signals what we get. But you see, it's not as easy as said and done, because it has to be properly taken forward through the regulator. So I believe just because the parliament passes a rule or something, it cannot be passed on to the consumers. That's the country's law.
We have the chairman of the PUCSL who seems to have a different personal opinion. And the minister is saying, well, look, his personal opinion doesn't really count. It's the officials at the PUCSL. But then why should we have a chairman? Isn't it very confusing?
It is confusing, but there is a way of doing things.
Right.
So if there is a revision of energy in January, it should be proposed by the utility, because we have a monopoly utility. Utility will have to propose the new price structure with the the facts and figures, and it should go to the PUCSL regulator, and the regulator should approve it.
Right.
That's the only model that I know of by getting the energy pricing up.
Right.
Consumer tariff, basically.
So basically what you're saying is our legislators can't just go roughshod over us and say, well, we want it more and therefore we will have more.
I wouldn't say no, because there were instances where emergency power had been purchased over just a document.
Indeed.
So
we'll come back. We'll come to that.
Anything can happen.
Indeed, indeed. We'll come to that thing about the emergency power. But our economy has contracted. We are going through. I think globally, Sri Lanka is a spectacular case in the sense that our economy has crashed and so on. And there are lots of postmortems in which they say we've been badly mismanaged and so on. But the fact is that our economy has contracted. 62% of the working population are daily waged. Only 38% have got regular jobs. And so obviously when the economy contracts, that 62% will be the first hit, either in reduced income, and worse, with no income. On top of that, the electricity prices have to go up. Why has it to be so high?
You see, world over, we have seen economic contraction, not only in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
So as the energy prices going up.
Yeah.
We have seen in Europe, say sometimes even 100% energy pricing up since January this year.
Yes. Sometimes it's 300%.
Yes. Some places it's 300%. So it's nothing, only Sri Lanka has been hit with.
Yes, I like the comparison, but we're not comparing everything in that case, because I'll stand back and say to you, well, that's fine, but the GDP in Britain is £40,000 or £50,000, whatever it is. The GDP in this country is an abysmal $2,600 or $3,000. So there's no comparison.
I'm not comparing the GDPs of the two countries, but what I'm saying is now when we were paying per unit,
Yeah.
something like 45. I'm talking about the highest bracket.
Yeah.
45 rupees per unit.
Yeah.
For electricity. Same unit had been sold in Europe for double the price.
Right.
So they are paying that price. Now it has got triplicated, basically.
Yes, I know, Dr. Lakmal, but I think my point is that there is no point in us comparing those rises. We, in Sri Lanka, we have a depleted per capita GDP, and we must hopefully learn to live within our means, which we have not been doing. But in that context, what can be done to ensure that the public don't have to pay for all these years and years of mismanagement?
It's an interesting thing what we finally came to. You see, the mismanagement and not doing the right thing is what you and I are paying, is what?
So now it's payback time for us. We're paying back.
Yes, we are paying back. Our tariffs, on the other hand, have not, I'm talking about the consumer tariff, have not been revised since 2013. So, I mean, obviously, when the grid is full of fossil fuel based energy and when our rupee is depreciating every day, you can't expect more for us.
No.
Right? We had a situation where we were pleasing and happily enjoying the 10 rupees coal.
Yeah.
Where is it now? 50 plus. And today, I think the Norachole Unit 1 is going to be shut down due to non-availability of coal. And people are still speaking about having another coal plant.
When we don't have the money to buy the coal.
To buy the coal. So, I mean, obviously, as long as you are going to be stuck with the 65% of our grid being supplied by fossil fuel based energy, we are going to be faced with this every day.
Do you think that it's criminal or tantamount to being criminal when our wonderful CEB have over the years done absolutely nothing about this nonsense called emergency power? They are quite happy to spend our money, yeah, money that we don't even have really, to fork out mainly to foreign companies. How much of dollars have gone out of this country since, when was the first emergency power, 1994?
Yeah, a long time ago. It's about 30 megawatts.
Yeah. Right? At that time, the average spend was about $7 million just to one company. And these are the people, these planning engineers, who are the best of the best in our country. They're paid very well, right? Their offspring are generally educated abroad. And it's criminal, in my view.
It is. You see, check and balances, accountability is not there. You see, for us, I'm an employee of a company, right? As much as an owner, I'm an employee of a company. So I am responsible to deliver the results to my stakeholders. My stakeholders includes the people who are working for me, my environment, everything. But when that accountability is not there for anyone, do you think that they will do their job right, or they will do their job for personal benefit? This is where we went wrong. In 2016, this was predicted. 2016, when Dr. Bhattagoda was the Secretary of Ministry, he wrote very clearly. It was brought up by PUCSL. If these plans are not implemented, we are going to have long power cuts starting 2020. Very clearly said. And this document has been sent to CEB through the Secretary of Power and Energy, and the CEB board ratified it, and it was sent to CEB GM level to implement it. But out of that, 10 or 11 projects, how many have come through? No more than 1 or 2. So this was predicted. The beauty of this entire scenario is, now you see, we have something called long-term generation plan.
Indeed.
Long-term least cost generation plan for Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka probably is the only country where you have emergency power embedded into long-term generation plan.
Yeah.
We have 320 megawatts of long-term, 320 megawatts of emergency power. Of course, the bride is dressed in a different name.
Yeah, of course.
But it's emergency power. They are asking emergency power for 3 years.
Now, whilst you're talking about that, this is all wastage, actually. Criminal in my mind. I hope somebody takes them to court and holds them accountable. Because, as much as they want politicians to be held accountable for economic crimes, well, what about the officials? Because the officials are also responsible. And we can say that we can back it up, by the way. Uma Oya project, right? I happen to know that they wanted about $12 million to pay for some electrical equipment to get the thing going. $12 million. At the time, different governors were asked from the central bank. Governor Cabral was asked about it. Governor, the other one, Professor Chandra. Anyway, I forgot the one before Cabral, and it has also gone to the current governor. But the money was never sent. I believe now it has been done. But the bottom line is, I think they are all missing the point. That it's a 120 megawatts of power, which if they were focused on, instead, there was one instance when they wanted this money to pay the Iranians to kind of complete it. At the same time, there was a cabinet paper put forward asking for 240 megawatts of power. And I think that is even double criminal.
Yeah, you are right. You see, there had been so many errors that had happened over a period of over 10 years. We have been, for us, we can't forget that we have been a country self-sufficient in renewable energy long time ago. Of course, the dynamics changed. We had a energy requirement growth every year, say probably about 6.5% until last year, October, until we had this energy price hike. So the situation changed, and we started adding only fossil fuel based energy plants as major plants to the national grid. So this is the problem that has been there for a long time. And not only that, basically the regulators did not give, the utility did not give enough weightage for renewable energy. Now, if I can tell you it very, very simply, now we have about 6.75 million 6.25 million electricity consumers. Out of this, easily about 5.75 million are domestic consumers. So we have been subsidizing the energy cost of domestic consumers for a very long time. I remember I think it was in 2013-14, when there was a price hike. On one particular day, the price hike was granted, and it was reduced again 25% the next day by then President. So if that did not happen, I'm not saying that the energy pricing should go up. We should manage it. The only way to manage it is to add more renewable energy which are not going up with the rupee depreciation. Because we are signing many renewable energy projects what we have signed. It's about 1,400 megawatts of renewable energy projects what we have signed so far, all based on rupee based tariffs. So when you sign a tariff, even the highest what we have signed, say 6 years ago, it's about 23 rupees. What is our energy cost today? It has passed 50 rupees. So we are having long-term contracts with renewable energy suppliers. Of course, now they have been thrown from frying pan to the fire because the utility have not paid them. They owe them about 30 billion rupees. So that's a different discussion altogether. But we did not give enough prominence to renewable energy, to absorb enough renewable energy. And it's been discussed very widely at different forums, and it was agreed, okay, we can add at least 20% of the national requirement from the renewable energies, basically particularly from solar and wind. Because we are blessed with solar and wind. We have over 200 gigawatts of wind and solar potential in this country. So out of which we haven't added anything more than 750 megawatts.
So, Dr. Lakmal, it's very, I'll tell you what, we'll go for a quick break and then we'll come to the second part of our program. We're in conversation with Dr. Lakmal Fernando, and we'll see you on the other side of the break, shall we? Thank you.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
25% for 2 months, 25.5% for 4 months. Valuable FD.
Attempts to sell power plants. Power sector employees protest. Request for electricity tariff increment has yet not been submitted. A statement from the chairman of PUCSL. Don't engage in tug-of-war in public service. President instructs public sector employees. Korean delegate reprimand Sri Lankan politicians. Interest rates were not increased based on instructions from the central bank. It was a business decision. A statement from the National Savings Bank.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And very good evening to you and welcome back to Newsline Live. I'm in conversation with an energy man, Dr. Lakmal Fernando. Thank you very much for being here. Isn't it jolly interesting, but isn't it sad at the same time? Because this, you know, it is white collar crime. That's what it is. Because these people sit there and, you know, you enter into a contract with the CEB, for example, to supply whatever. You know, it ends up in the Attorney General's department and, you know, you have a big contract like that. But I'd like to know how many times these people actually go to court against these errant suppliers for not delivering on time, not delivering exactly what it was supposed to be contracted for. But they're all hunkadory. You know, there is no personal audit of their performance. There ought to be personal audit of their performance to see what they're delivering for the people. Do you agree, Dr. Lakmal?
100%. You see, now, CEB by far is the biggest business in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Now, it was about 270 billion turnover company. Now, with the new, you see the energy pricing and everything going up, and cost is going up. So, they are going to be a 750 billion plus company. And this company, when you step into the company as a raw engineering graduate, knows at what level you are going to retire. Whether you are going to be retiring as the GM, or whether you are going to be retiring as the Deputy General Manager, Assistant AGM, you know exactly, it's written on the wall. There is no way a profitable business of you know, any nature operating like that.
Do you think this CEB should be sold off, privatized? Or is that a bad word?
If anyone thinks privatization is going to give benefits to customers instantly, it's not.
Okay.
But having said that, an engine that can be controlled with say probably about 14,000, 15,000 people, the curtailments will come and it will run as a more efficient company.
Should be lean and mean.
Lean and mean, yes.
But if you combine privatization with a strong regulator, then what?
We haven't seen such situation in Sri Lanka.
So I'm living in some utopia.
Yeah, you see now, you look at the privatization. I will tell you now what had happened in French utility. Now, French government sold about say 25% of the utility to private companies, and of course, with the energy pricing going up, they were asking to increase the energy pricing to the consumers. The government did not agree. So finally, government had to buy back the private share of the utility back to the government. So these kind of things are very, very common in the world. So and also when you look at what is happening in Europe,
Yeah.
it's not only energy pricing going up, they are making exorbitant profits,
Yes.
right? So don't live in the delusion that privatization is going to sell you energy at 30, 40 rupees or 10 rupees. It's not going to happen.
Excepting that when it's privatized, the little man at the treasury, Sri Lanka's treasury, he ain't being bothered.
He'd been bothered, but as long as we are in this 65%, 35% fossil fuel and renewable energy grid, we are forever going to be facing about this, and next year you and I will be speaking about this, year after, and even my son will be speaking about the same thing.
So what's the solution? Bearing in mind that the Sustainable Development Goal number 7 from the United Nations is to have clean, affordable, sustainable energy. I think the operative word is affordable.
Yes. Our model is proven. Now in 2016, we were kind of arguing and debating and doing many things with the regulators, with the utility, with every possible platform to absorb more renewable energy. Were we given that opportunity? No. Even recently, now there's something called the tariff formula. I'm not speaking about the tariff formula that the consumers are paying. I'm speaking about the tariff formula that the energy developers, energy suppliers to the national grid are being paid. It's a very straightforward formula. There are denominators that you will have to enter into the formula, and you arrive at a number. And we have been requesting to revise the rooftop tariff and the ground mount tariff for a very long time. And
Revise upwards?
Sorry?
Revise upwards, revise?
Naturally, when the tariff was given, the dollar to rupee exchange rate was at 130, and when we are at 370, it's different. Because renewable energy, even though we produce free of charge, there's a cost that goes into the plants.
Right.
So this cost is basically 90% imported.
Right.
So our plant cost is higher. And the interest have changed from single digits to 30%.
And Sri Lanka has no capability to have its own manufacturing here?
Not in this scale.
Right.
Not in this scale. Now, India
Is there any scale that they've started?
in Sri Lanka?
Yeah.
Not that I know of. You see now.
Why
India,
is that? Are we missing the raw materials?
It's a mega scale business.
Right.
When you don't have the scale, your pricing can be.
So there's no economies of scale.
Exactly. Pricing can be as high as double compared to the world market. That is why even India went into a fully fledged, vertically integrated panel production system only today. I saw it in news today.
Right. Oh, so there you go. You
So,
heard
I
it
mean-
first on Newsline.
India is one of the largest renewable energy absorbing countries in our region.
Right.
But they went for it today. They had the panel production plants,
Yeah.
but not a completely vertically integrated plants. But today they established it.
So, Dr. Lakmal Fernando, we've got about 5 minutes left, but tell me, step by step, what should Sri Lanka be doing?
You see, in order to address the immediate issue, the government and the utility will have to come together and give a commercially viable rooftop tariff to convert 1 million rooftops into a minimum size of 3 kilowatt system. We are speaking about 3 gigawatts of energy.
So
which is
how many percent of that would be, we have, what did you say, 5.75 million subscribers or customers?
That's about less than 20%.
Right.
Less than 20%.
So it's
And
not too ambitious.
No, because when you take this kind of a volume, this will have, some people will have 1 megawatt, some people will have 20, some people will have 10. So this is a range. I'm speaking about the smallest denominator, which is 3 kilowatt. So when we plan for 3, naturally we will end up with a combination of many systems.
And
that
this
is the
will
only
bring
way
down,
forward. Energy costs
yes.
drastically down. Now today,
by about 20%, did you say? No.
yeah, because we can at least maintain it for us.
Right.
You see, the difference is when we were speaking about 20 rupees energy, CB's cost was 16 rupees. Now today when we are speaking about 60-65 rupees energy, CB's cost is 50 plus. But next year, if the rupee depreciates further, which is going to be, a fact.
Which everybody says is going to happen because we're
it's going
still
to
in a
happen.
dollar crisis.
Yeah. So when that happens, 65% of the energy production cost is going up. As we speak, it's going up. Today now, we haven't been paying for coal. Now, one plant is going to be shut down due to lack of availability of coal.
So this will result in how many hours of power cuts, do you think? I live in Mount Viney, it's 2.5 hours.
It will increase. It will increase. I cannot tell you exactly because you see, when the coal plant is been shut, obviously other private energy producers are supplying energy. So it's a balance that they are striking with the government not having money to supply. Coal is a different story, but these things can be balanced in a different way. But economic contraction, what we are going to have, is 15% already, and we are heading into energy poverty very, very fast. And that's even more dangerous. Price of unsupplied kilowatt hour of energy, 1999, it was estimated at 300 rupees. So imagine what is going to happen. Economic loss to the country.
So it's serious stuff.
Very serious.
So what do the people do? Put up, shut up, and pay the bills?
No. Convert as much as possible into you generating your own energy.
What about this, there's some funding, some encouragement from the UN in terms of solar. What will that help?
We had a 50 million funding line. That's all been exhausted. Now we are planning to get about another 80 million fund from ADB, but that will come, hand in hand with the IMF bailout. So until we get the IMF bailout, we are not certain that we are going to be getting it. So this is linked to that
as well?
That's right, yeah. But that's not going to solve our problem. We need $10 billion for our renewable energy to be established to the 70% by 2030. So this will have to be, scaled up to a different level.
Your son will still be talking about it.
Exactly, that's what I told you.
Dr. Lakmal Fernando, thank you very much for being on Newsline.
Thank you very much, Faraz. Thanks a lot for inviting me.
And that's the way it was. Of course, let me remind you once again, if I may, tomorrow is the Newsline Christmas special with His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit. It's 10 minutes earlier than normal at 8:20, and it'll go on till the news at 9 o'clock, which it is now. Thank you for watching. Take care. And don't miss the program tomorrow, will you? God bless you all.